YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI Barakatah YAHAWASHI Barakatah Yahawah Barakatah Yahawah Barakatah YAHAWASHI.
But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise open, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness and the mob is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is shewed the treasure of immortality. Let my soul bless Yahweh, the great King. When Jerusalem shall be built up with sapphires and emeralds and precious stones, thy walls and towers and battlements with pure gold. And the streets of Jerusalem shall be paved with beryl and carbuncle and stones of Ophir. And all her streets shall say, Hallelujah, and they shall praise him, saying, Blessed be Yahweh, which have extolled it forever.
It's about time, man, because I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to get the kingdom. I'm ready to live. I'm ready to breathe fresh. I'm ready to have beautiful, pure women, okay? Not no strawberry harlots on this side. I'm ready to have children, man, you can vibe with, okay? Be around brothers. Be around the Lord himself, okay? I'm ready to go and visit places in the galaxy that we didn't know exist. All right, I'm ready to walk on sandy beaches, man, and explore the ocean floors. I'm ready to fly, okay? I'm ready to eat real food, okay? I'm ready to drive a chariot, man. All right, I'm ready to minister to the Lord and to be ministered to, man. Okay, I'm ready to worship YAHAWASHI in its full entirety. Okay, I'm ready for it. We're ready, man. I'm ready to see angels and greet angels.
Barakatah YAHAWASHI Barakatah Yahawah Barakatah Yahawah Barakatah YAHAWASHI.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful that got there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI. All right, and what I want to get into today, is the powerless people, only by YAHAWASHI. Okay, and I want to respond to the latest happenings, what's going on, down there in Venezuela, and what we seen, was a people, all right, because you go into Venezuela, which goes into the tribe of Asher, okay, over there by Colombia, to the north of Colombia, over there in South America, all right. But when you go into Venezuela, which are, part of the 12 tribes, of the Northern Kingdom, I say mostly Asher, in their region, a little bit Naphtali, a little Zebulon, because Naphtali is in the southern part of South America, down there in Argentina and Chile. All right. But the point, okay, is what we seen is one of the tribes, be powerless, okay, on the world stage, which shows you that, the Lord's word, all right, is true. Because one of the punishments of us, breaking, all right, their first covenant was that we will be without a power, because that was one of the agreements, okay, of us, being disobedient is that we will lose our power, which is Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI. Okay. And on the flip side, the beautiful thing, you see a remnant as we come back to our power, you see, because this devil can't do us anyway. We're in captivity, we're subjugated to, certain laws and, you know, particular things. All right. But we know, according to the promise, he's not going to have his way, okay, with the hopeful elect. You're going to have martyrs, which there's written about. Okay. But as a whole, all right, our power is going to intervene. Okay. So what we just seen on the global stage is a powerless people. All right. And disobedience, keeps us powerless. And that's why, Esau, he pushes on the tribes, okay, doctrines and philosophies that keep our people powerless, man. Okay. And Christianity being, a major one. Okay. Because, matter of fact, before we get into the book of Judith, which, um, matter of fact, let's read the book of Judith and then we'll get that in the chat. All right. So this is Ammonite, all right, explaining, okay, to the general of the Assyrian Babylonian Empire. All right. He's giving them a briefing. He's giving him a briefing about the children of Israel. All right. Because Israel, all right, wouldn't submit. Okay. And, the general, Doris, if I'm saying it right. All right. Hophanes, I think that's his name. Let me see, do it say his name? All right. Yeah. Hophanes. All right. The captain of the army of the Syrian Babylonians. Okay. So he's getting a rundown of the Israelites by Ammon. And this is what's being told. It says, and whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered because the Most High have, all right, because the Most High that hated iniquity was with them. You see? But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by their enemies. Okay? So he's giving them, a brief rundown of, all right, the relationship between us and our power. Okay? So when we depart from those ways, okay, we through, man, we're powerless. You see, our power comes in faith and obedience to our power. You see, once we leave off from being obedient and faithful to our power, we become powerless, man. Okay? And that's the understanding these heathens have, especially Esau Edom today. He knows it better than anyone. Okay? It says, but now are they returned to their power and are come up from the places where they were scattered and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Okay. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. Okay, so obedience is our ruin. It has nothing to do with the strength of a nation. Our disobedience ruins us. Okay, the reason the heathens are able to have a rulership in the earth is based on our disobedience. Okay, not nothing great that they do. Okay, it says, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, all right, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. Okay, so the heathens, the elites of the heathens, they know the formula when it comes to dealing with Israel. Okay, and they know that once we're, all right, linked with our power, there's nothing they can do with us. Okay, and this was all throughout history, man. All right, they know we in good standings with our power. There's nothing, all right, that these heathens can do. That's why you even go here. Let's get this. Okay, just rolling in the spirit. All right, let's get this in the book of Ezra. Okay, the 4th chapter. All right, this is the book of Ezra, chapter 4. All right. Matter of fact, start at 1, then I'll jump. So this is the book of Ezra, chapter 4, verse 1. Says, now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai, power of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said to them, let us build with you, for we seek your power as you do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of uh, Esarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. So as we was allowed to rebuild the temple. Okay, you had these heathens that wanted to build with us. Okay, and they came and they wanted to build with us as we was building back our temple. There was a scroll by the Babylonians, but under the Medo-Persian Empire. The Lord put it on the spirit of Cyrus, to put it in writing and also to finance, a second temple, which will be done under the Medo-Persian government. All right, but we were still captives. Okay, but we was given, leeway to go build a temple and serve our power. Okay, so as they're, doing the actual building, you had heathens, that wanted to come in. Okay, and assist. You see, so let's go here. And it says, but Zerubbabel, all right, Joshua, all right, and the other leaders of Israel replied, you may have no part in this work. We alone will build a temple for the Lord, the power of Israel, just as King Cyrus of Persia commanded us. So they was rejected, man. They had no part in this, man. This is not for heathens, man. Okay, the heathens have no part in Yahweh Bashim Shai. Just as the nation of Israel goes through Yahweh Shai to deal with the Heavenly Father. Okay, we don't go directly to the Heavenly Father. These heathens don't go directly to our power, man. All right, they deal with us, and that's why we're going to be kings and priests. Okay, we're going to be the go-between. Okay, these heathens are not directly linked to our power, man. Okay, and it says, then the local residents tried to discourage and frighten the people of Judah to keep them from their work. They bribed agents to work against them and to frustrate their plans, sellouts. Nothing new. This went on during the entire reign of King Cyrus of Persia and lasted until King Darius of Persia took the throne. Okay, it says, years later, when Xerxes began his reign, the enemies of Judah wrote a letter of accusation against the people of Judah, okay, and Jerusalem, okay. So they wrote a letter, okay, against Israel, all right, these heathens, because they wasn't allowed to build with us, man, okay, which they're not allowed to build with us now. Okay, now this is the letter that was written, okay, to the king of Persia at the time. All right, it says it's Ezra 4 and 15. It says, we suggest that a search be made in your ancestors' records where you will discover what a rebellious city this has been in the past. In fact, it was destroyed because of its long and troublesome history of revolt against the kings, all right, and countries who controlled it. We declare to the king that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, the province west of the Euphrates River will be lost to you. Then King Xerxes sent this reply. Okay, so they let them know, look, if this city is rebuilt and completed, the province west of the Euphrates River will be lost to you, man, because they know their temple was us. Okay, being linked back to our power, man. You see, and these heathens love it when we're powerless, man. Okay, I say, and that's what was on display in Venezuela is a powerless people. Okay, a completely powerless people, man. All right, and you see, no one came to their aid. Okay, you see, nobody came to their aid, and we're gonna get all that. It said, then King Xerxes sent, Abaratazar, It says, sent this reply to Rehum, the governor, Shimshai, the court secretary, and their colleagues living in Samaria throughout the province west of the Euphrates rivers. Greetings. It says, the letter you sent has been translated and read to me. I ordered a search of the records and have found that Jerusalem has indeed been a hotbed of insurrection against many kings. In fact, rebellion and revolt are normal there. Powerful kings have ruled over Jerusalem and the entire province west of the Euphrates River, receiving tribute, custom, and tolls. Okay? And they talking about mainly King David and King Solomon, man, when these heathens were in complete subjection to the throne of Israel, man, the throne of David. Okay, so these heathens, they know, okay, where our power is at, man. And that's us being in good standings to our power, man, through obedience and faith. Okay? So when we're disobedient, we're powerless, man. When we're obedient and have faith, okay, we have all the power, man. All right, we have more than enough power. So real quick, because you just look at right now in Venezuela. All right, let's see. Let's go real quick. All right, so when you go into it, what is the main religion by percentage in Venezuela? It says in Venezuela, the main religion by percentage is Christianity. Within that, Roman Catholicism is the largest single religious affiliation. Overview of religious affiliations in Venezuela. Catholicism, 63 to 64% of the population identify as Roman Catholic, according to recent survey data. And we know the Roman Catholic Church is the mother of all these Christian denominations, man. Okay? The Roman Catholic Church, man, which is known as a false prophet in Revelation. Okay? And Venezuela is heavy into that. The northern tribes in general is heavy into Roman Catholicism because Roman Catholicism is a more potent pagan form of Christianity. The other forms of Christianity are watered down as far as the pagan rituals. Okay, all of it saturated in paganism, but Roman Catholicism is the most potent, okay, denomination of Christianity, okay, when it comes to pagan rituals. They heavy into the Mother Mary, all right, the prayer beads, and you see bowing down to actual idols, okay. So we have to understand when you look at Venezuela, all right, we get into, the wickedness of America, which that doesn't denote, all right, the wickedness of America, all right, and what they're doing, all right, but we can't forget, because you get into the geopolitics, all right, you can't forget to be spiritual. Sometimes I get caught up into the geopolitics and have to step back and look at everything spiritual, okay, and not forget that these are Israelites who are powerless, okay, because you can speculate, well, Russia didn't help, Russia, weak, and China weak, and these are Israelites, okay, under punishment, you see, in the state of disobedience, okay. So according to the scripture, nobody gonna help them, man. No man shall save them, okay. So it went down exactly how it was supposed to go down, and I had to take a step back from a geopolitical perspective and look at it in the spiritual perspective. Okay, it's just a powerless people. Okay, that's in a state of disobedience to their power. It says many Venezuelans, about 22% in some surveys, identify as Protestant or evangelical. Okay, around 9% are atheists. Okay, madness, agnostic. Okay, smaller percentage follow Small percentages follow other faiths, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, all right, indigenous beliefs, etc. Okay, so you look at Venezuela, and it's just one of the many countries of Central South America that's into these false religions. Mainly Roman Catholicism. I believe but that's what those conquistadors. There was a doctrine they conquered. Okay, there was the doctrine they used while they was conquering. Central South America and the Isles. Okay, so those conquistadors, they was heavy into Roman Catholicism. Okay, and they enforced it on on the northern tribes, man. You see, you had this thing of the Spanish requirement. Matter of fact, let's look let's look it up while we're here. Uh, all right, let me see. Yeah. You see, South America being Yep, it says yes, the Spanish requirements played a major role in South America becoming predominantly Roman, all right, Catholic. Here's how it happened, clearly and simple. Spain and um, Catholicism, all right. It says when Spain began colonizing, all right, South America in the 1500, Roman Catholicism, that's what I mean, Catholicism, all right. Roman Catholicism was the official religion of the Spanish crown. Spanish rulers believed it was their duty to spread to spread Catholicism to new territories. Okay, and the Bible said nothing about spreading Roman Catholicism, all right, especially through great, all right, robbery, all right, and murder. Okay, it says religion as a requirement. Conversion to Catholicism was often required or strongly pressured for indigenous people, and it was under the threat of death, man. Okay, it says Catholic missionaries, Francis, Francis, well, Franciscans, Dominicans, Jesuits. Okay, the Jesuits. Okay, well, there's a whole, another story. Traveled with or followed conquistadors to convert native population, build churches, schools, and missions, replace or suppress indigenous religions. Church, all right, was that was going off the northern tribes when they showed up. Anyway, that's why it's part of the reason the Lord allowed the conquistadors to have their way when they showed up, man. Because you had empires, you had the Aztecs, the Incas, all right, the Tainos. Okay, you had standing militaries. Okay, but they was powerless against those conquistadors because of disobedience, man. All right, said church plus government power. The Spanish crown and the Catholic Church worked closely together. All right, being Catholic was tied to legal status, access to education, social and political acceptance, man. And these devils turned the Bible into the new Hellenization. You had to conform, all right, to Western standards to have access, to particular things. Just like during the time of the Greeks, you had to convert to Hellenism, okay, to have access to particular things, okay, but to particular perks within the empire. It says over generations, uh, well, man, All right, yeah, over generation, Catholicism became deeply embedded in culture, traditions, holidays, and national identities. Even after the independence from Spain, uh, Catholic, dang, I'm tripping with this word. Uh, Catholicism, okay, remained dominant across most, all right, across most of South America. Okay, so even after so-called independence, that doctrine had been embedded, so many generations that the northern tribes were just engulfed into it, man. They had fully taken on the religion, the false religion of their enemies, man. All right, so Roman Catholicism became a major part, okay, of the culture, all right, of the Southern Kingdom. I mean, the Northern Kingdom. Okay, Issachar is heavy into that. The Queen of Mary. All that comes from Roman Catholicism, man. The Day of the Dead and all these. You know, it says yes, Spanish colonial policy backed by law and force was a key reason South American largely Roman Catholic today. Indigenous belief didn't disappear entirely, but all right, uh, yeah, indigenous belief didn't disappear entirely. All right, but Catholicism, all right, Catholicism, you know, Catholicism became the dominant religion due to Spanish rule. You know, so let's go back and get some precepts. Because all this aligns, okay, with the scriptures, man. Okay, so let's go with Leviticus. I want to get this in Leviticus 26, and then we go Deuteronomy 28. All right, so you go Leviticus 26 and 1. All right, and it goes into what blessings for obedience. Okay, Leviticus 26 and 1 said, "Do not make idols or set up carved images or sacred pillars or sculpted stones in your land, so you may worship them. I, the Lord, all right, I am the Lord, YAHAWASHI, your power. You must keep All right, you must keep my Sabbath days of rest and show reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, I will send you seasonal rains. The land will yield its crops, and the trees of the field will produce their fruit. Because serving our power, we win in every way. We win in everything. Faith and obedience to our power, we win in everything. And that's all the Lord ever required of us was faith and obedience to him. And we won't have to worry about anything, man. Okay? It says, I will send you seasonal rains. The lands will then yield its crops, and the trees of the field will produce, all right, their fruit. Your threshing season will overlap with the grape harvest, and your grape harvest will overlap with the season of planting grain. You will eat your field and live security in your own land. Abundance and security, man. You know, it says your harvest is gonna overlap because of abundance, man. So being in good standing with our power comes with benefits, man. And even now, as we're coming back into good standings with our power, we have more than enough. We got enough. We got abundance each day. Okay, we haven't. We don't have, crops and you know the agricultural wealth. Okay, that we once have. All right, but in this days, in this day's substance, man, we have enough, man. Because right now it's about having enough, man. The Lord gives us, more than enough, man. We have abundance in the day, and that's directly related to serving our power, and then when we fall short, we got a brotherhood. Okay. So we have more than enough, man. You see? And that's one of the perks of coming back to our power. See, more than physical substance, we have abundance in truth, man. We just have this flood of truth, man. This surplus of truth and understanding. Okay? Faith and trust in our power. Okay? And in the time of chaos, man, we have mercy stored up, man. Lord will. We of that number. You know? You see, we're finna reap, the benefits of serving our power, in real time. You see, he says, I will give you peace in the land, and you will be able to sleep, all right, with no cause for fear. I will rid the land of wild animals and keep your enemies out of your land. In fact, you will chase down your enemies and slaughter them with your swords. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000. All your enemies will fall beneath your sword. I will look favorably upon you, making you fertile and multiplying your people, and I will fulfill my covenant, all right, with you. Okay? So those are perks of what's being in order, is that we didn't have to worry about anything, man. Okay? We don't have to worry about anything, man, when we're in good standings with our power. Okay? And you go here to Deuteronomy. Let's go here to Deuteronomy 28. Okay? And when we don't serve our power, we have to worry about everything. Okay? This Deuteronomy 28 and 15 said, but if you refuse to listen to the Lord, YAHAWASHI, your power, and do not obey all the commands and decrees I'm giving you today, all these curses will come and overwhelm you. Okay? And you just jump down to the main points. Okay? Because one of the main punishments is us being scattered, man. Okay? And in these places where we were scattered, okay, we will begin to go into idols, man. Which will keep us in the doghouse, man. Which will keep us, okay, in bad predicament, man. Deuteronomy 28:64 said, for the Lord will scatter you among all the nations from one end of the earth to the other. There will you worship foreign gods that neither you nor your ancestors have known, gods made of wood and stone. Okay? So as we were scattered as a punishment, the Lord made us subjugate to serving these other gods, these false religions, these idols. Christianity is a false religion. It's idolatry, man. Okay? Islam, Roman Catholicism, anything outside of the truth, okay, is a foreign god. Is associated with a foreign god, man. And that's a punishment to be subjugated to these foreign gods because it keeps us powerless, man. Okay? And we've seen an example of that today. Okay? So let's go here. Let's read this in we're on 28 and 68. All right. 28, Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof, all right, I spake unto thee. And this Egypt goes into means bondage, because this wasn't ancient Egypt, okay, that is speaking of. Okay, it was the new Egypt, mainly here in America, man. Okay, the house of bondage. Okay, this would be a new Egypt where we serve a new captivity over here in America, man. You see? And it says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Okay, which is to redeem us, man. All right. And what we seen in Venezuela, no man, okay, was able to redeem them from this situation. Okay, and it's the Lord that got that order out there. All right, so Russia, China, they had to stand down. Okay, because hey, let's go to the word by. All right, which is in Hebrew, konah. Okay, it says to get, to acquire, to obtain, It says of the Most High originating, creating, redeeming his people. Okay, redeeming his people. You see? So there's no one that on earth that's capable of redeeming the Lord's people except his son Yahawashi. First we had to be, redeemed from, all right, the debt of sin, and then we will have to be actually delivered, okay, from my enemies, man. Okay, so let's go into that aspect. You see, that's why when you go here, in fact, let's get that. Hold on. Oh yeah, let's get that in Genesis, one of my favorite ones. Yeah, we'll get that all throughout. All right. This is Genesis 15:1. It says, after these things, the word of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Okay, I'm thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Okay, so we have to understand, as long as we got Yahweh Bashim Shai, we have a defense and an exceeding great reward. Okay, well, what you seen with Venezuela was a people that was powerless, man. Okay, but that's the point of Yahawashi. All right, is when you go here. Let's get this Isaiah. We went into this the other day. Isaiah 31. Okay, and 5. It says, as birds flying, so will the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shah host defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over it, he will preserve it. Okay, and this is the perks of being of the elect, is that we have a deliverer. Okay, even those that die in Yahawashi for the testimony of Yahawashi, okay, they're going to be raised up at the coming of Yahawashi. All right, so they're still going to win. Okay, they still going to be beamed up. You see, they still going to be raised immortal. Victory over death, man. So our victory is in Yahawashi. Victory over death, victory over this power structure, this beast system is all in Yahawashi. Okay, so it don't matter the deals that Venezuela had with, Russia, China, and these other nations and BRICS and all these different deals. None of that matter. Okay, no, the Lord got you in that position. Okay, and only his son Yahawashi can get us out. Okay, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it, man. And that's the remnant. Okay, that's going to be defended. You see? Let's go here because you're going to this third world war. You see, we have a champion. All right, Yahawashi is going to represent us in this third world war. Okay? So you go into Joel 3. It's all about the build up to this third world war. All right. Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about till it cause the mighty ones to come down, O Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai. So the Lord is arousing these nations to go to war. Okay, these nations, okay, their spending policy is going towards war, towards defense. Okay, every nation, okay, that's capable, it's going to play a part in this third world war is gearing up for defense, man. Okay, but in the midst of all this. When you go Joel 3 and 12, it said, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. All right, YAHAWASHI, which is the Lord's judgment. You see, it's going to take the Lord to come and judge in the earth, man. Politics don't do it. And this is a cut to you niggas that, speak on the northern tribe because they have their own countries. And you see, they're still powerless, man. All right. Venezuela was just as powerless as the Crips and Bloods today. Okay. It was just like, they rolled on O Block. They was powerless, man. Okay. It said, let the heathen be wakened and come to the valley of Jehoshaphat, YAHAWASHI. Okay, so it's going to be the Lord that's going to execute justice in the earth, man, and judgment in the earth, man. Okay, it ain't going to get right until YAHAWASHI is sent back. All right, and this is the scenario in which he will be sent back to the earth, man. Okay, so let's go here. It said, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow. For their wickedness, okay, is great. Speaking of wickedness of the earth, man. Multitude in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw her shining. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, okay, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. Our power, our strength is in YAHAWASHI. And there's a remnant, okay, that has been awakened to that obedience, to that faith. Okay, and that's who YAHAWASHI is coming to defend and deliver. Okay. But as you can see, disobedience has our people powerless, man. Okay, but in this day, the Lord gonna showcase power for a remnant. Okay, he's gonna do this in front of all the nations, man. Okay, Esau, Edom being the main one. Okay, so Esau, he can have his way with our people that's powerless, man. Okay, but for those, all right, that remnant, it's gonna be a different story. It's gonna play out different. You see, this is why we finna see the value of a savior, man. Okay, we finna see the value of YAHAWASHI. Okay, you got Jake that play around with YAHAWASHI. You niggas calling on Christ. You niggas calling on Christ ain't gonna be defended, man. You niggas gonna be just like Maduro, man. Okay, a sitting duck. You guys just calling on Christ. 2026, man. You guys still call Christ should be obsolete amongst the Hebrew Israelite community. Okay, the community you niggas love so much, man. Christ should be obsolete, man. Nah, man, YAHAWASHI finna come do a great work, man. And you guys that can't call on his name, okay, you're gonna be powerless in this day, man. Okay, it says, so shall ye know that I am the Lord, your power, dwelling in Zion, in my holy mountain. All right. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall be no strange, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. And there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. Okay. So now, man, that means that no heathen, okay, will have access to us, man. Let alone, be able to conquer us, man. That's over with. Okay, because strangers passing through us, ultimately talking about those militaries that will pass through and conquer us, man. That's over with, man. I think a translation say that. Let me see. You see? But let me see. So like, I think it's a translation. Yep. This is the NLT. It said, then you will know that I, the Lord, your power, live in Zion, my holy mountain. Jerusalem will be holy forever, and foreign armies will never conquer her again. Okay? Because right now we'll conquer people, man. But at the return of Yahawashi, we'll never be conquered again, man. Okay? And this thing of Venezuela, as I'm looking at it in the spirit, is a reminder, all right, we need Yahawashi, man. Okay? Yahawashi is coming to bring all the justice with him, man. And righteousness. He's bringing more than enough power. Okay? Mighty to save. You see, because he's coming to deal with Esau head on, man. Okay, and you see, Israelites have no power to stand before this man. Verse 18, and it shall come to pass in the day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, which is the government of Israel. The new wine gonna be the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, it says, and the hills shall flow with milk, and the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, and shall water the valley of Shittim, man. And that's the earth being forwarded in righteousness, all right, from the new government that's going to be established, okay? And the earth is going to benefit from that new government, man. Okay, the earth itself is going to be restored to its strength, okay? Because the earth is going to be ran by true wisdom, true order, true structure, man. Okay? And all these heathens get ready to go into captivity. You see? It says Egypt shall be a desolation. You see that? Egypt, that same Egypt in which Deuteronomy 28, we will be in bondage to. So this same Egypt, speaking of America today, all right, which will be captive and no man shall buy us. Well, guess what? Now, when you read this part of prophecy, it's a desolation. Okay, and that's on behalf of the remnant. You see, it said Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Okay, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Okay, you devils, man. All right, you see how Shah's coming to judge, man. You see, like they just brought, Madero and his woman to court to trial. Well, guess what? Yahweh Shah finna bring you to trial, man. Okay, you see, it's gonna take the highest courts that's gonna come judge this devil Esau, man, and you other heathens, man. But beginning with Esau. Okay, so yeah, man, just going into that, just pondering on it in the spirit. Spirit had me just think on it. But Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified till next time. I say Shalom, Kwam Yashala, Bible Shalom.